Have you ever wondered what legacy you will leave in the world? Think for a moment. When your journey is over, how will you be remembered? As someone who faced challenges and achieved their dreams, or as someone who always found justifications for not trying? This question is unsettling because it confronts us with an inescapable truth. Every day, without exception, we are making decisions that bring us closer or further away from what we really want. Life is relentless. She doesn't wait for you to be ready. She will not adapt to your excuses. Every dawn, you are faced with a simple but powerful choice. Will you act or will you justify? And make no mistake, this choice is made in the details. The moment you decide whether to get out of bed when the alarm goes off or hit snooze, when you choose whether to spend hours on social media or take a step towards your dreams. The truth is that most people spend their lives justifying their inaction. They create compelling stories for themselves and others, explaining why something didn't work out, why the timing wasn't ideal, why the circumstances were unfavorable. These narratives may seem innocent, but they are actually traps. They offer momentary comfort, but rob you of the potential to change your reality. Now stop and reflect. How many times have you fallen into this trap? How many times have you let an opportunity pass you by because you thought you weren't capable, because you thought you didn't have the resources, or because you feared failure? These excuses may seem safe, but deep down, you know they are stopping you from taking action. Meanwhile, there are people who face the same challenges, or even greater ones, and yet refuse to give up. These people are not extraordinary by nature. They don't have superpowers. What differentiates them is their mentality. They understand that life is difficult for everyone, but they choose not to spend energy justifying it. They prefer to act, even when the path is uncertain, even when the fear is great, even when failure seems imminent. And this is where a crucial point comes in. The pain of effort is temporary, but the pain of regret can last forever. Imagine yourself in the future, looking back, revisiting the moments when you had the chance to act but chose to justify it. What feeling would that give you? Frustration, sadness, maybe even ashamed. On the other hand, think about what it would be like to know that you did everything you could, that you faced your fears and went after what you really wanted. If you're hearing this right now, it's because you feel like something needs to change. You know deep down that you are at a crossroads. Continue as you are, making excuses, or start taking action even if it is difficult. And make no mistake, acting is not comfortable. It requires courage, effort, and a good dose of resilience. But do you know what's most interesting? When you choose to act, something magical happens. Difficulties that seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve. With each small step, you gain more confidence. And little by little, he realizes that the limitations were more in his mind than in reality. Life is like a fertile field. Everything you do or don't do is a seed planted. If you sow procrastination, excuses, and fear, you will reap frustration, regret, and stagnation. But if you plant action, determination, and courage, what will flourish will be success, learning, and achievement. And here's something few people understand. Failing is part of the process. Failure is not the opposite of success. He is the path to success. Every mistake made, every stumble, is a lesson in disguise, an opportunity for growth. But you will never learn these lessons if you are not willing to take action. So the question is, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for circumstances to be perfect, that someone gives you permission? May the fear disappear? Here's the truth. The perfect moment never comes. If you want to change, you need to start now, right where you are, with the resources you have. Throughout history, we see examples of people who could have justified their limitations, but chose to act. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but he used that time to become stronger and, when he came out, he united a nation. Helen Keller, blind and deaf since childhood, became an inspiring author and activist, changing lives around the world. These people were not born with advantages. They simply refused the idea that their circumstances would define their destiny. And you? What will you do with the opportunities you have now? Will you continue making excuses, or will you start building the future you want? The choice is in your hands. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, something seems to pull you back, as if there is an invisible force stopping you from moving forward, even when the solution is right in front of your eyes? This feeling is not uncommon, but the truth is that this strength doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. It's in your mind. The way you think is the foundation of your reality. Every decision you make, every action or inaction, is shaped by what you believe is possible. Now imagine that your mind is like a mirror, reflecting the world around you. If that mirror is dirty or cracked, everything will look distorted, confused. The world doesn't change, but the way you see it changes everything. And this is where the big challenge begins: how to clean this mirror, how to reprogram the mind to see opportunities where there were only problems before. The key lies in one simple but powerful word: mindset. The way you see yourself in the world around you is what defines your actions and, consequently, your results. Some people have a fixed mindset, believing that their abilities, talents, and limitations are immutable. I was born this way, and this is who I am. Others have a growth mindset, believing that everything can be learned, improved, and transformed. I don't know how to do it yet, but I can learn. Now ask yourself, which of these mindsets are you cultivating? Changing your mindset is not a simple act. It's not something you decide and magically happen. It is a process, and like every process, it requires effort, patience, and above all, awareness. The first step is to identify the beliefs that are holding you back. For example, how many times have you said or thought things like, "I'm not good at this. I don't have enough talent. That's not for me." These phrases may seem harmless, but in fact, they are like anchors that keep you stuck in the same place. And the most dangerous thing is that often these beliefs are not yours. They were imposed by other people, family, friends, co-workers, who, often without realizing it, projected their own fears and limitations onto you. But the good news is that limiting beliefs can be challenged, and when challenged, they can be replaced. Here's a powerful exercise. Every time you notice a limiting thought arising, ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just something I've accepted without question? A classic example is the circus elephant. As a puppy, he is tethered to a flimsy rope and a small piece of wood on the ground. He tries to free himself, but can't. Over time, he gives up. As an adult, even though he is strong enough to destroy the rope and rip out the piece of wood, he never tries. Your mind has conditioned you to believe it is impossible. How many times have you been like this elephant? Another crucial point is the environment. Your mindset is deeply influenced by the people and situations around you. If you are surrounded by negative people who complain and settle for less, you are likely to absorb this pattern. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, inspire you, and support you, your worldview changes. But changing your mindset isn't just a matter of inspiration, it's a daily practice. A powerful technique is visualization. Every day, take a few minutes to imagine yourself achieving your goals. Don't just think about them, but feel what it would be like. Visualize the details, where you are, who is with you, how you feel. This practice helps reprogram your mind, making your goals more real and tangible. Another essential element is internal dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you might think. Instead of saying, "I can't do it," say, "I can't do it yet." Instead of thinking, "This is too hard," say, "This is a challenge and I like challenges." These small changes in vocabulary have a huge impact on the way you approach situations. Now let's go further. What do you do with your mistakes? Many people see them as failures, but they are actually the best teachers. Thomas Edison, when asked about his numerous failed attempts before inventing the light bulb, replied, "I didn't fail. I just discovered 10,000 ways that don't work." And you? Are you willing to embrace your mistakes as part of the learning process, or will you continue to punish yourself for them? Before finishing, I want you to reflect on something. Your mind is the most powerful resource you have. She can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The choice is yours. Are you willing to do the work necessary to transform it? Because if you are, what awaits you on the other side is something that few people have the courage to experience: freedom. And before we move on to the next step, I want you to take this with you. The biggest limit you face is not out there. He's in. And the good news is that you have the power to change it. So what are you going to do from now on? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve success with almost magical ease, while others remain stuck in an endless cycle of failed attempts? It's easy to look at those who have made it to the top and think they were lucky, but the truth is much deeper and often uncomfortable. Success has a price, and as much as this may seem like a cliche, it is a reality that few are willing to face. You are? Imagine that success is like a rare coin at auction. Everyone wants it, but few have the courage to raise their hand to make the highest bid. This is because the price of success is not paid with money, but with effort, consistency, sacrifices, and above all, resilience. It doesn't matter if you are talented, intelligent, or creative. What really matters is how much you are willing to pay for it. And here's the first twist. The price isn't charged all at once. It comes in small daily installments. It's not about working once and expecting eternal results. It's about waking up every day, even when you're tired, and keeping going. It's about choosing the difficult path when the easy path seems so tempting. But why are so few people willing to pay that price? Because the pain of effort is immediate, while the rewards seem distant. It's easier to give in to laziness, fear, or distractions than to face the uncertainty of progress. Think about how many times you've chosen immediate pleasure over long-term progress. How many times have you postponed a plan because it seemed too complicated? This is the reality for most people. Now stop for a moment and reflect. What is costing you the most? The price of the effort required to achieve your dreams, or the cost of living a life below what you know you are capable of? And you know what's curious? The cost of inertia is much greater. It doesn't appear clearly at first, but it accumulates over time. It is in the regret of not having tried, in the feeling of constant dissatisfaction, and in the weight of looking back and realizing that you missed opportunities that will never come again. But here's the point. Success is not about perfection. It's about progression. You don't have to get it right every time, but you do have to keep trying. And this is where most people give up. Have you ever heard of the 40% rule? It's a theory used by Navy SEALs, which says that when you feel like you've reached your limit, you've actually only used 40% of your potential. This means there is a reservoir of energy, strength, and capacity within you that has not yet been tapped. So what's stopping you from accessing that other 60%? Maybe it's fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. But here's another twist. Failure is inevitable, and that's not a bad thing. Failure is the price of learning. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to become better. And speaking of better paths, it is important to remember that success has no shortcuts. Each step needs to be conquered. Think about the great athletes, business people, or artists you admire. None of them got where they are by chance. Each public victory was preceded by hundreds of silent battles, fought far from the spotlight. And you? What are you doing behind the scenes in your life? Are you planting the seeds of success or just watching time pass by? The price of success also includes resignations. You can't have everything at the same time. You will have to give up some things to achieve others. This means saying no to what doesn't bring you closer to your goals. It means dedicating time, energy, and focus to what really matters. But make no mistake, success isn't just about hard work. It's also about strategy. You can run in the wrong direction with all your might and still get nowhere. Therefore, it is essential to stop, reflect, and adjust the route when necessary. And here's something that few people realize. Success is never final, just as failure is never fatal. Life is a continuous journey of growth, and the biggest challenge is not reaching the top, but staying there. Before we close, I want to leave you with a reflection. What are you willing to do today to guarantee the tomorrow you want? What excuses will you abandon? What actions will you take? And if this content inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the notification bell. Success is a journey, and we are on this journey together. Let's continue to grow and inspire each other. Until next time. Have you ever stopped to think about why growth is so uncomfortable? Why does each step towards something greater seem to bring with it pain, challenges, and moments of doubt? The answer is simple. Growing up hurts because it forces us to abandon what is familiar, and the familiar, however limited it may be, gives us a false sense of security. But here's the point that many people don't realize. Growing discomfort is not an enemy. It is the sign that you are on the right path. Think of a seed. To grow, it needs to break through its shell, face hard soil, and expose itself to the elements. The same logic applies to you. If you're comfortable, it's because you're not growing. Now, imagine yourself 5 years from now. Where would you like to be? How would you like to feel? Who would you like to become? The answer to these questions should serve as a roadmap, but also a powerful reminder. The growth you want won't happen alone. It demands action, and this action will often be uncomfortable. Interestingly, growth is a paradoxical process. It requires you to look forward, but also to face what is within you. It is impossible to grow without recognizing the limitations, fears, and beliefs that keep you stuck. But the question is, are you willing to do this inner work? One of the biggest obstacles on the path to growth is the fear of failure. Many people give up before they even start because they are afraid of making mistakes. Every time you make a mistake, you learn something new. Each time you face a difficulty, you develop skills and resilience. Think of a practical example. When you were a child and learning to walk, how many times did you fall before finally taking your first steps? You didn't care what others thought. I didn't give up because I found it difficult. I just tried, made mistakes, learned, and tried again. So why is it now, as an adult, so difficult to accept that mistakes are part of the process? Another important point is that growth is never linear. There will be times when you feel like you are moving forward quickly, and there will be times when you feel like you are stagnating. But remember, even the strongest trees face periods of dormancy before they bloom again. Growth doesn't happen at the speed you want, but at the pace you need. And here's a powerful reflection. What's stopping you from growing? Is it the fear of abandoning what you know? Is it doubt about your capabilities? Or maybe it's the opinion of others, which makes you question whether it's worth trying something different. Often, the biggest enemy of growth is the voice inside your head that says, "You're not good enough." This voice is like an echo of your insecurities, but it is not the truth. You are much more capable than you believe you are. The difference between you and the people you admire is not in talent, but in your willingness to face the discomfort of growth. And here comes a crucial point. Growth is not just about you. It's also about the impact you have on the world around you. When you grow, you inspire others to grow too. When you face your fears, you show those watching you that this is possible. Think about the most challenging moments in your life. Now ask yourself, weren't they also the most transformative? Maybe you went through something that, at the time, seemed unbearable, but that today you recognize as a turning point. This is growth in its purest form, uncomfortable in the present, but absolutely transformative in the future. But there is something that few people understand. Growth requires sacrifice. You can't grow up and still be the same person. You will have to abandon habits, beliefs, and even relationships that do not contribute to your evolution. This is not easy, but it is necessary. And above all, growth requires consistency. It is not something that happens in a single moment or in a single decision. It is the result of daily choices, of small actions that, when added together, create extraordinary changes. Now I'm going to ask you a question. What are you doing today to grow? Are you investing in yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with people who challenge you? Are you willing to face difficult times in exchange for a better future? Before we close, I want you to take this with you. Growing up hurts, but it's worth it. Every step, every sacrifice, every moment of discomfort is an investment in the future you want. Have you ever wondered how far you could get if you never gave up? Stop for a moment and reflect on this. Think about all the times you left something half done, all the dreams you abandoned because it seemed too difficult, or the path seemed too long. Now imagine what would have happened if you had persisted, even in the most difficult times. Persistence is, without a doubt, the virtue that separates the winners from those who fall by the wayside. No matter the talent, the intelligence, or even the opportunities, without persistence it is all wasted. And that's why many begin their journeys full of enthusiasm, but few reach the end. Because while initial enthusiasm is a spark, persistence is the fire that keeps the flame burning. But why is it so difficult to persist? Because contrary to what we imagine, the path to achieving any significant goal is not linear. It is full of unexpected curves, steep climbs, and often dead ends. Persisting means, first of all, accepting that there will be falls, and not just one or two, but many. One example is Michael Jordan, widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time. He lost more than 300 games, missed thousands of shots, and on several occasions failed in decisive moments. But instead of letting these failures define his career, he used them as fuel. Jordan once said, "I've failed many times in my life, and that's why I'm successful." Persistence is not just about keeping trying. It's about learning from each attempt, adjusting the route and moving forward more wisely. But there is a point that we often ignore. Persistence is not synonymous with stubbornness. Persistence means having the courage to change strategy when necessary. It's not about knocking repeatedly on the same door, but looking for another entrance. Now here's an important reflection. What is stopping you from persisting? Is it the fear of not being good enough? Doubts about whether the effort will be worth it? Or perhaps the influence of external voices which make you question whether you are on the right path? These barriers are real, but not insurmountable. The key is to remember why you started in the first place. Whenever you think about giving up, ask yourself, what motivated me to start this journey? What is my ultimate goal? Keeping this purpose clear in your mind will help you overcome moments of discouragement. And there is another essential point. Celebrate your small victories. The journey of persistence is not just made of great achievements, but of small steps that, when added together, take you far. Every obstacle overcome, every day you persist, is a victory in itself. Persistence is also an act of faith. Faith in yourself, in the process, and in the fact that constant effort always brings rewards. They may not come at the speed you want, but they will come. Think of a farmer who plants a seed. He does not harvest the fruits the next day, but he knows that with patience and care, the harvest will arrive. And here's a final point to ponder. Are you willing to pay the price of persistence? Because despite everything, there is a cost. You will have to give up certain comforts, face criticism, and deal with uncertainty. But what you get in return is much greater. It's the satisfaction of knowing that, regardless of the result, you did your best. Now, before closing, I want to invite you to take the next step. Persisting is a daily choice, and I want to be by your side on this journey, sharing more reflections and tools to help you move forward. Remember, success is not about never falling. It's about always getting up. Shall we go together?